week I'll tell you about that. And I'm also the sub-coordinator for the telephone helpline. And next week, every one of the papers actually publish the stuff I sent to them to do, or Carlisle people heard about the class. So that's okay, do some new business. Also, up on the table, you saw these little books, some of the same handouts I give out, and some information that we present. But it's another thing, some people, there's three kinds of learners. There's the visual person who sees it learning. Is it too big and overwhelming right now? I mean, you can make it smaller. All right, now open your eyes. And your little notes going. You're starting, most of you have notebooks here today. That's the first start of your garden journal. Keep notes to nausea. But, I remember that was the day I planted that. And it didn't work. That was in the first week. Question 10. Do we get to plant strawberries? No, you don't. You have to wait till after Christmas. Oh, what did I take this class for? Is that all I took the class for? Was so like to plant strawberries? Probably. I mean, it was probably one thing the counselor said, we get to plant strawberries because most kids go to the kids.
We got it hot enough for you?
Oh,
yeah. Okay. My name's David King. I've been a garden master at Garden Garden for 12 years. And what that means is that every good thing I've wrote out the top here is the responsibility and due to the efforts of my many volunteers. Everything that's wrong here is my fault.
He's also a master gardener, which is the title of garden master and master gardener, don't you?
Yes, I am a master gardener. I'm an honorary master gardener. They like me for I don't know why. And a garden master is a specific job title, although the LA Times doesn't recognize it. It is somebody who is usually the most experienced horticulturalist in the garden, and also the coordinator of the different parties, the different work schedules, and that sort of thing. And so that, like I say, everything that's wrong here is my fault. I teach for UCLA Extension. I teach gardening and horticulture and sustainability. We have, in the fall, the course is called Modern 5. It's a 4-hour class. We spend about 2 hours yapping at each other in this room, probably, and we spend the other 2 hours actively working in the garden. You're required to grow food there, and we have a friend of mine comes in, teaches chickens, and then I also do a thing across the street with a live beehive. So you're going to have to keep bees a little bit, just an introduction to keeping chickens. So the organization I founded. And I am also, the originator of the plan, I forgot, the originator of the plan to make Los Angeles to declare a GMO-free zone. And that might actually happen before October 20th. There's a lot more work that needs to be done, but you'll get updates from me whenever I'm in the class. I'm going to talk to you today about tools, and we're going to start with the first set of tools you already have, which is your hands and your skin. Right? Your hands are your number one tools. I tend to like to protect mine with gloves. I have these soft baby hands. I don't want anybody to think that I garden. I'll leave that one out. And so I like these. These are leather gloves. If you're not into leather, there are other kinds of gloves nowadays you can get. But I like leather when I need gloves because, and I'm not an unconscious gardener, but I have actually been using these and cutting away and got my thumb involved. And I kept going, why is that so hard to cut? But the gloves protected me. I also suggest you have your tetanus shot up to date. It changes almost weekly as to how long they're good for. But you'll always get poked. In the way of tools, this is my little tool basket. And you're going to start with tools like of the hand nature, I think. My favorite trowel. This is, by the way, is not called the little shovel. I was out here with a high school teacher. He goes, "Where are our little shovels? We went to plant something." I went, "What the hell are you talking about?" All right, so this is a great tool. I actually got this off of eBay now. You used to be able to find them locally. It is all steel with a bicycle handle and a leather strap to hang up. This thing is indestructible. You can use it to chip rocks if you want to. Right? I mean, I don't know why you want to chip rocks, but you know, some people are weird.
So it's a trowel?
A trowel, T-R-O-W-E-L, trowel. This trowel also, if you are so inclined, if you've got really hard soil, you can sharpen this tip, right? Or you can use it to kill children. I don't know. And it has, yes, oh yes, it has a measuring thing, so you know how deep you've put it in. Yeah. You might want to keep her away from me, I don't know. This is another Wilcox that I was given, and I'm not sure I like this. It's a Wilcox 250. It seems to me it'd be great, all this leverage here for really difficult situations, but I've never used it. It was given to me, like I said, and I'm not sure what I think about it. This one I know. So I went out and bought a new one, and then I found the old one. Of course, that's how it works. If I never bought the new one, I never find the old one. Trowels. This is a chopping slash, I don't know what you actually call it, kind of a cultivator. I'm not nuts for this. It's another thing that was given to me. Twine. This is twine. It's organic twine. If you use this stuff instead of that ugly, sinful, horrid green tape, right? All the gardeners use that green tape. It doesn't. It's worthless. And it looks like hell. This will compost. This will break down and become a part of the soil. No, whereas that other stuff will be plastic in a landfill until your grandchildren are dead.
How do you spell twine?
Twine? T-W-I-N-E.
Thank you.
Surely.
That's a good one.
This is called a fishtail weeder because that looks like a fishtail. And it's actually a pretty useful little tool for like deep roots, big roots. But this is the only cheap tool I will allow. This is my grandfather used to say we're too poor for cheap tools. And if you get cheap tools, this has happened, and this is not true confessions. It's going to happen to you sooner or later. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you break your towel. You can't go to the neighbors and say, "I broke my towel. May I borrow yours?" You don't want tools to break at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when they're going to break. You think I'm joking? And sooner or later, I'll fall asleep. I believe I will, please.
Is that a hand brake?
This is, we call it a hand brake. It is a great little scratcher for scratching the surface of the soil if you are so inclined to scratch the surface of the soil. I'm not nuts about that either. Very nice to your hands. Nancy's has a, you want to show yours? This Nancy.
My curly gloves, you want to see my curly gloves?
Yeah, the girly gloves. The girly synthetic gloves.
But I love them because I have little tiny hands. So when I ran into these, I was happy camper. Plus, the nice thing that I love about them is that I can do something with water, and within a few minutes, they're dry again. So that I don't have to keep them off and do water things and come back on and do all that nonsense. I got these, I was in the Master Gardener.
They actually sell them in Ralph, not Ralph's, in Osh.
They sell them in Osh in most places. They're called Atlas.
Atlas.
And they come in a variety of nice, beautiful garden colors.
How do you spell Atlas?
H-E-L-A-L-S.
This is the one called a 370. This is size small.
Atlas gloves? Atlas garden gloves? Atlas gloves?
With the narrow tines, it's much easier to work with. If you have to, you can use them to rake with. If you have to, you can use them to dig with. If you have to, you can use them to shovel compost, right? Stick in the compost, throw the compost around. So for one tool, get a spading fork. Now, this is one of the high schools with this nice orange ABS handle until I can't use them anymore. And while they're lasting me, I want them to be beautiful. I want my hands on wood. I don't want my hands on plastic. You notice our chairs are wood, and that's because I chose not to set my butt on plastic. D handle. This is called a D handle. You can see the D? There's the D like this. Is that the D? It's backwards for D. Okay. So this is The D handle, and if you are 5 feet 8 or less, this is your preferred configuration. If you are above 5 foot, you need to look into getting a straight handle. And this is a straight handle. And anybody, any height can use this one. The one thing about these is with this length against the blade, the torque is much more profound. And I have busted several of these handles without a second thought. I didn't even realize I had no thought. The other end was up against a root, a rather large root. I come back like this and bang, it's time to go get a new spade. I love this tool. This is from Smith & Hawkins. This one, that company no longer exists, but you can still find these made. They're called poaching spades. Poaching. And the reason for that is, most of these tools came about in Victorian times, by the way. And in Victorian times, in England, right, most of the property was owned by the king or the royalty, and poor folks were not allowed to go on into these estates to find any kind of food. So if you wanted meat for your family, you would go onto the estates and you had to find a way of catching meat without making it sound like a shot of a gun. So they would go take these out there and they would use this and discover the rabbit den, and with a swift quick of the spade, and they'd find the rabbit and kill the rabbit with the spade. And that's how they were able to harvest their meat for their families. So this is called a poaching spade, but it's outlived that history by a long shot. It is now sold sometimes as a transplant spade or a perennial spade or any number of names. The spade itself is small and dished. It is very, very useful for all kinds of tasks in the garden. Men will use it as a large trowel, and everybody else can use it as a small spade. I like this tool. There was a time when all my exes had poaching spades. When we have a bed where the plants are growing, we want that to stay soft and fluffy. And because we don't actually turn the soil, we're looking for the worms to do this soft and fluffy thing for us. So if we walk on it, it does damage. It'll take many months to get changed. So as we go out there, usually you'll see wood chips where you're supposed to walk, and no wood chips where you're not supposed to walk.
The bathroom's at the entrance.
I'll show you. Oh, okay. It's an outhouse. Oh, okay. It's yellow. Okay.
Little yellow outhouse up there.
Okay.
That's really clean though. 여기서 경사가 있어요. 그래서 다음에 depending on what the needs are, you can just help.
We have an area here we're going to work in and clearing. I want you to observe a couple of things. First of all, this stick is in front of a rhubarb. Can you say rhubarb?
Rhubarb.
The person who pulls out my rhubarb will be banished from the garden for the rest of their natural life, and maybe beyond. I love, and that's a rhubarb you're standing right in front of, and you're not on the path. Come a little bit to your, there you go. Thank you, darling. These rhubarbs are my favorite plants. Now, I make the world's best rhubarb pie. And as soon as I learn how to make a crust, I'm going to enter in just to make bread. And I overdo it all the time. I end up, the first crust I ever made is probably still being worn for leather.
I can give you a really easy, good bread recipe.
I was given a no-fail crust recipe, and I failed. So, this is obviously the rhizomes of Bermuda grass. All right. When you're doing this, what I'm going to ask you to do, now mind you, in my gardens, I don't do this at all anymore. The extent of my work is to come out here and lay down compost on the surface of the soil. And then I let the worms do this work. And that's why a lot of this ground is super, super, super easy to work with. It's not because it's been dug, it's because the worms have are present here. I want each of you to grab a spade and for a few seconds at least, try your hand at doing this that I'm doing. And when you come up like this, you get the roots of your weeds and you pull the roots out and just throw them over there because in the sunlight they'll decompose. Now you come to this side of the rhubarb. We're going to work right in this vicinity. We're going to work right over here. You come over and no, I'm only going to go this way.
What's this stuff right here?
That is a lot. Well, what you just pointed to is a bindweed. This right here is Melissa, which is a tea. It's an herb. It's a mint. Right there. Claire. You did it? Okay. You mean? You did? Miguel. But we're not going that way. We're going that way. I want people to come around from behind and go that way. Yeah, you got in trouble. No big deal.
You got good soil.
So that fluffy soil is caused by what?
Yep. When I first started in this area here, we could not get a tiller. We were still using a tiller at that time. By the way, tillers are booked. But we couldn't get a tiller to garden to go through here at all because the ground was so hard.
Yeah.
It was like trying to till a sidewalk. But and all we have done is put compost out here for 12 years. I use no fertilizers as well as no pesticides.
That's good.
I also do a lousy job of weeding if you can't tell.
Okay. Don't cross the line. Why do you keep the fennel, David? What's that purpose of?
Insects. It feeds the beneficial insects.
What would be beneficial insects like?
Things like that. So by laying these weeds out here on the pathway, they will desiccate and dry out, and they'll become mulch on my pathway. There's a Mr. Worm.
Are they redworms?
No, redworms are not in soil. Redworms are only good for composting.
And then all these little worms, all these little bugs?
Those are roly-poly bugs.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Roly-poly bugs are specifically, they're a class, this is great, I love this word. They're a class of critters called, are you ready? Detritivores. They eat detritus. And that means that they eat dead plant material. If they get hungry enough, they're not too shy and they'll eat your plants. But they won't cause that much damage, so I don't worry about them. You can get plants, first of all, when you're dealing with me, you're dispensing with the idea of a supermarket vegetable. That is it isn't a reality thing. You've got to use so much poison and sprays and so much anti-nature things to get those perfect vegetables every time that I don't even think, I don't go there. I have a level of damage I'm willing to allow for any plant. Some people, that level of damage is maybe 10% of the crop. They lose that, they're okay. I am willing to lose 100% of the crop rather than spray poisons. So, if I sprayed, my thought is that the ladybugs have found these aphids before I did, and they've laid their eggs in there. If I come along and spray organic pesticides, right, like soap or neem oil or any one of the ones that are organic, I'm going to kill the ladybug eggs faster than I'm going to kill the aphids. I have set myself up by spraying whatever I sprayed, organic or not, I have set myself up to spray again. It's like getting your kids addicted to heroin. Once you've got them addicted to heroin, you're addicted to heroin, and it just screws everything up. Don't do it. The The only thing I would spray if I had a extremely valuable plant in this garden and it was covered in aphids, I might be convinced, a little money or I don't know, I might be convinced to wash them off with a steady stream of water, and that's it.
Wow.
But over there, right behind Eve, that fence has very, very rare beans on it, and they got aphids. And I looked at them and I thought, well, aphids schmaphids, I'm gonna let them go. And within less than a week, the ladybugs had found it, the ladybugs cleaned them up, I didn't spray anything. And that's what I believe in. You know, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I will lose the crop rather than spray.
Wow. You're a hardcore gardener.
I'm a hardcore man, that's all there is to it. You know what, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing passionately.
I wasn't clear what you're saying. The raised bed loses more water?
Yes. And so, well, because basically it's getting that direct sun. I mean, when you're, yeah, I mean, it's like a container. It really is. It's just an oversized container. It's gonna heat up faster. You know, you'll be able to take advantage of growing stuff, your summer crops earlier. But it does the water will evaporate because it's getting the sun, direct sun from all sides.
Got it.
You know, it's just another oversized container, really.
How often do you have to water on it?
Well, you gotta take care of this tool because that is the best tool you have. You had a question, Miss?
Yeah, I'm doing box bed actually because it's going to be over concrete and
Yeah.
if at a school you can't we're not breaking concrete. So I'm going through all the trial and errors of that. What kind of crops do you suggest for box bed?
How deep is?
I have the choice that we haven't made them or bought them or anything. So
I think based on what crops you want to grow, because I mean, a lot of crops have a required X amount of area for the root system to really
Right.
grow. So I mean, if you have a bed that's say maybe just 12 inches, you're obviously not going to really grow tomatoes or something like that. But
it's for kids, so
but-
it's got to
but
be
you
tall
gotta-
enough for them.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, you can do stuff like lettuce. It doesn't have a
Right.
require really large root system. I mean, most herbs do very well in box beds. You know, containers.
Zucchini and vines, like
Yeah.
watermelon.
You know, I've never grown zucchinis or watermelon.
Heirloom watermelon, and I staked it, and it's growing. I'm having it growing vertically, and I just put hooks into the wall, and I got some pantyhose so that when it started fruiting,
Yeah.
I could support the fruit, and so it wouldn't take down my fruits. Probably next season, I'm going to get a trellis that's kind of out of the wall, so I can have more hooks in there to support more fruit and to tie it up better. So I'm learning as I go along. But actually,
How deep is your bed?
it's probably about 14 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started it from seed, and it's an heirloom, and it's growing. I was surprised it's growing the best in my garden this year.
Do you have cement underneath your?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yep.
Okay.
And they're plastic
There's your
containers.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always best to ask somebody who's actually done it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody told me no, and so I just said, "What the hell?" And I
That's
did
what I
it.
do.
Well, you know,
The more they people tell me no, the more I'm
The
going
more
to
you
do
do.
it.
The more you do.
you know, you got
Can you do a smaller container for
Huh?
Can you do a smaller container? than
You
that?
know,
No.
you might. At the end of the day, you experiment, and you might be pressing. To me, this-
A foot's here.
I mean, I like raised beds, but this is way too high for me. Because I mean, is it gonna? I mean, it's perfect if you don't care about water. But if you do care about our drought, you're gonna have to water this at least 3-4 times a week.
What about drainage? Do you have any issues with that, or it just goes?
You look at raised beds. So, and by the way, David hates raised
No,
beds.
this
I
is
mean,
about a foot right
if
here.
it were up to David, there would be no raised beds.
Well, soil like he's got.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why, you know.
Yeah. So these, and then really the only reason why you want to have raised beds this high, if you're working with people who are like are handicapped or need to have access, and obviously they're like this one over here, for example, it's like just at the perfect height that if you have something this height, it's probably like just perfect for a wheelchair gardener, you know. And this is perfect too. Like say if you have back issues, this is probably a good, not a really good height.
Okay.
Those 100 cups that we put
Is that
on
is that
soil.
deep enough though to grow tomato and
Oh yeah.
pepper?
Because remember, this is not a container. If you
Okay,
dig
I
enough,
gotcha. It goes down into
it goes
the soil.
down. It goes down into the
Okay,
soil.
got it.
Remember, the difference between a
I
box
gotcha.
bed and a
Yes.
raised bed is that a
Just
box bed
raised.
has a bottom to it,
Got it.
which really makes it just an oversized container.
Okay.
A raised bed is just an extension of the soil, you know?
I got
You
you.
know.
It's an extension.
Okay? Now, let me show you what I think, how high a raised bed should look.
Moist microclimate. So I just do my seedlings. I leave them inside until I see them coming up, and then I put them right on the back. Yeah, like these are the little. Yeah.
This is as high as a raised bed should be, really.
Yeah.
About 6 inches. 6 inches is enough. It's enough so the soil warms up early enough in the year so you can start putting your vegetable crops earlier, like your tomatoes and peppers. And it won't. I mean, look how big it is. I mean, it won't really use up that much water. This raised bed will probably consume. I only water these about maybe once a week, sometimes 2 times a week. Well, something like that, like the ones with the wheelchair accessible ones, in the dead of when it's hottest in the summertime, you might have to water sometimes every day, you know. And so we're talking about 6 times more water, you know, when you start going down to the soil. It sets it up so people know where the bed is and where the trail is, you know.
Are you preparing the soil underneath, or you?
I don't.
You don't do anything?
I don't tell it I'm gonna do anything. I just mulch it on top.
You do.
Like David said, I let the worms do the work for me.
Okay, so you're not doing any digging. You're just putting up your bed, you're putting in your
Exactly.
stuff, and you're planting. And that's
Exactly. In the instances where let's say you have a lawn, you want to set up a raised bed on top of the lawn. What I do is I build my raised bed on top of the lawn. I don't even dig out the lawn. You know, I lay it out cardboard and just put out the soil and let it take care of itself. Unless you have something like Bermuda grass where it's gonna have really come up. You know, most grasses are not gonna come up. Usually. If they do, just knock it out. You know? I've seen people literally, like, you know, take out lawns, set up beds, and I mean, to take out a lawn, it's a lot of work. You know, just build your beds. You know, something like this. Get some the best soil you can afford, the best soil you can find. I use city compost.
Yeah.
A mixture of like 80% city compost and 20% whatever soil happens to be around. And every year I just keep on, you know, building it with more city compost. So initially, what I would recommend is about 80-20%, you know, when you're building your bed.
80% compost?
Yeah, and then from there, just mulch and compost. But yeah.
Can I ask you about the cardboard?
Yeah.
You said cardboard. Where does
Yeah.
that come in?
Well, like, let me show you an example here. Right, so what I do, so lay out cardboard. About a couple of weeks ago, this was overrun with grass like that.
So it's going to stop photosynthesis.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep the moisture up.
See how it died by itself?
Yeah.
I didn't have to dig it out. I didn't have to, like, you know, put all that work into it. I laid some cardboard, put a lot of mulch over it, and let the grass die on its own.
And the cardboard
Have you done any garden? Anybody who can sit in a room and say, never lost a plant. I want to know what magic means they're planting, because you just do. No matter how hard you try, you do lose on occasion. Yes, ma'am?
Can you overwater?
Yes, you can. And next week we're doing soil and irrigation. Remember, I'm going to ask you next week, what is the mantra for success, and what are you going to say? Thank you. See, you take the class. The answer is soil. Your success depends on your soil. Once you know your soil and you test it, and Eli's going to take you out and he's brought all sorts of stuff for you to put your hands in to feel the difference of soil, and you're going to test your own soil. It's your homework. I love that word. Since I don't have students in the classroom anymore, I can say it. Then you learn about your watering. Because every single person in this room is going to have a different watering practice for their soil. Even for this. you're each gonna have, where you're gonna put it is gonna cause you to have a different watering practice to keep it going. Go put your hands in the soil, and if it's heavy and solid and really hard to dig in, you're probably looking at clay. If it's real easy and you feel a lot of grit, it's probably too sandy. Those are different watering options. You'll learn about that next week. That's why we use compost to get it in a better balance. But somebody's gonna need more compost than other people. Yes, sand needs it because it needs to hold the water in. Water goes right through. You know, where clay, it holds it because the particles are different. It holds it, and then it goes through.
Why don't you keep that for her and I'll give you less?
Not like that.
No. That's what this is perfect. What I do, I just literally just take it out.
Eli, what? Eli,
Kale.
not 1 inch, that's great.
No.
Radish as
Part.
well, or is
These
that
are
okay?
part.
Oh,
I'm fine with this. I'm fine.
okay.
No, what I do is
Take
this
two
is
more.
what I do.
But
I
I'm
stick with the
asking-
finger, match it, this is easy,
Yeah.
another roll.
So it'd be 3 radish. Right.
Okay, well, I'll come in a minute. Let me get his first. And it's got 3 across.
I have radish in my hand.
I love radish.
I think you can have one more.
Who's got the radish?
I do.
Oh, I need a radish.
Who else needs kale?
I need two radish.
Fancy. Anybody want some kale? Here, let me give them back to you. I got some.
Give some to you, give some to you, buddy.
I have one here.
Red kale, red Russian kale, anybody?
Not too deep, right?
Anyone
I
kale?
have really coconut
Like a little bit,
One
like a
kale?
little pencil. She was going. Yeah, you went too far
Extra
down.
kale, some
Yeah,
some
you have to replant.
Yeah.
Now, do we water?
No, don't water till you get home because we don't want any messes in your car, your bikes, or your
And how
motorcycles.
frequently do we water?
Who wants some spinach
Then
with
water
beans on back on
from
me?
up from the bottom.
Okay, I just did.
I don't even eat sometimes, I just kind of.
Which lettuce do you have? I'll do the red lettuce.
There you go. Now we're dealing with red lettuce.
Yeah, I like red lettuce too.
No, lettuces are so small. They'll
easily
blow
lose
away. If you literally sneeze or something.
All the spinach that
Oh, your finger determined what, okay.
This determines the water you need after you get home.
That's great.
This is your watering indicator. You stick it in, how wet. If it's clear up to here and it's still wet, don't water.
I know, they're so
If you
tiny.
get your finger clear down here and it's getting pretty dry, you better water. Because the babies want a little bit, they
It's like a
don't
whole
think of it in water,
dozen,
think
like
of
half a
giving
dozen
them a
lettuce right
little
there.
drink on the
And then they're so
top.
little.
Okay, and then-
Remember this. Yeah. Remember, especially with lettuce, you don't want, you literally just want to set it down and put a little bit of soil over it. Yes, that's how small.
What about a
Both
garden?
ones lettuce?
Our inventory. Okay, and we also have a branch in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, West LA, San Fernando Valley. So
Right.
that's a good thing.
And we're looking to have,
Yeah, and Boyle Heights? how's that?
Boyle Heights is, we're thinking about, we were hoping to get somebody into Boyle Heights. We have Northeast LA, Long
I don't
Beach.
hear a lot of big fish stories in gardening like you do in fishing.
I grew a zucchini that was this big!
And right away him saying that, you don't go, yeah, right.
The thing of it is that you sign, you actually do sign, it is honor. You sign that you agree to the Safe Seed Pledge and you will grow the seeds according to what we promulgate from the seed library.
Plant, most likely plant your crops this coming season. And I want you to dig down, now I want you to go beyond the surface, because that's mostly organic material. But you go down about a foot, take about a cup of your soil, you're gonna put it in a mason jar. A cup is about half, right? We're all gonna put, you're gonna take some alum.
Some what?
Alum. And you guys are gonna get everything you need today.
Okay.
It's basically,
Don't put this away because this is what he's explaining to you.
yeah.
You have now permission to read as he talks.
It's a mineral that allows basically the soil to separate. So you start seeing the silt
the clay and the sand separate and settle. So you'll know exactly what percentage of sand, what percentage of silt, and what percentage of other material you have in your.
Calgon bathroom, that's awesome.
So remember,
You don't need Calgon because alum works better.
better,
This
and
was
we're gonna
one
provide you with it too.
somebody did and left it here, and it hasn't been out in the sun, and I don't know what, but that's kind of what it.
Well, that's like, I don't know what that is. That's not, it's something else. No, that's mostly.